So let's get started with episode 3. We got some really good matches in this one. We got a final Champions League match group stage, we got a ton of league matches, and we've got a couple in the cup. So it's going to be a nice action-packed episode, hopefully with a lot of goals. We're going to start off with one, in fact. It's actually Andre Diallo, passes it through straight to Vitinha. We're playing against one of the worst teams in the league here in Vizela, but you know, 15th minute, goal, 1-0 up, you can't complain with that kind of performance. Vizela do have a couple of decent players, one of them right here nearly did chip it over our goalkeeper, but once again, when isn't Mateus absolutely on top form? Thales Magno as well was on really good form. We were having to rest quite a lot of players because we do have the Champions League match against Milan straight after this one. So we did have Horta and Magno playing as the attacking mids. Really, Magno probably should have scored right there. He did try and hit it first time, but for some reason, he just took a touch. Herrera didn't need more than one touch in the box to smash one in. He did the knockout blow. He celebrated in a typical Herrera way. I think that was actually Wayne Rooney who did that celebration in real life. But all of a sudden 2-0 up, and we were looking pretty comfortable. There was a few scares like that one there where Viana would control it straight into the goalkeeper's hand, but it would end 2-0, and we had beaten Vizela in the first game of episode 3. Next up though, this was our toughest test. So if you're not familiar with how the table's looking, we need to beat AC Milan to go through to the next rounds, into the knockout rounds of the Champions League. A draw isn't good enough. If we draw, then AC Milan will go through, and if we lose, of course, we'll probably finish bottom of the group behind Shakhtar. So it's all resting on this single game. With 3 minutes gone, Banza, who's returned from injury, played through Vitinha. At the near post, somehow he beats Mike Magnan, and we're 1-0 up after 3 minutes. What an insane start. We've had some really good form in the Champions League this year, which is quite surprising really when you think about it. And we were going to have a really tough AC Milan we were playing against. They had Marcus Rashford, they had Di Catalera up front, they had Marco Asensio, Adli, Neves holding in midfield. It was a really good AC Milan side. However, we would actually have probably the most chances in the first half. Di Catalera would have a one-on-one there after 66 minutes, he probably should have scored, and Rashford would be providing the next chance for Milan. His cross came all the way across, and the Belgian would volley it over our goalkeeper into the net. So with 15 minutes left, we needed to score at least one more goal if we wanted to go through. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it. The game would end 1-1. However, it's not all bad because the draw would mean we were now in the Europa League. Fabio Grosso wasn't too excited at his Champions League experience ending so quickly, and I'll be honest, next year if we manage to qualify, we're going to give it a much better effort. But Vitinha was in good form. He couldn't help us stay in the Champions League, but he was going to try and help us beat Portimonense in the league to try and get next year's qualification sorted. We'd had quite a few injuries in our squad at this point. We'd only played 12 games, but it felt like we played about 30, so it was no doubt that some of these injuries were starting to rack up. It was actually the home team that would have the first shot. A nice long-range effort, nearly found the corner, but I think Mateus probably had it covered. They had some tricky wingers, and they probably should have gone 2-0 up there, really, if we're being honest. That was a nice one-on-one, a powerful shot, just about missed the goal. In fact, I was very surprised about how good this team was. We didn't really have any shots in the first half, and our first chance wouldn't come until the 83rd minute. I'm sure you would agree that he should have done absolutely a lot better with that one. Defrel came on up front as a replacement for Banza, and he would try to do some long-range efforts. You know how successful he's been in the past couple of episodes at those kind of shots. But again, he couldn't even get one in either. The game would end 0-0, which I think is probably our first 0-0 of the season. An okay performance, but they're a pretty bad team. We probably should have been winning. So with 14 games gone, you can see the table right here. We're joint top. We've got Aruca, Santa Clara and Chavez at the bottom. Vizela, who we played first of all, 4th in the league. So this was going to be quite an easy match, hopefully, against the bottom placed side. We would score one of the sweatiest goals of the season after 8 minutes. Banza from inside the 6-yard box was never going to miss. So 1-0 against one of the worst sides. We had to think we were going to score quite a few goals. The next chance would be theirs, but it was 57th minute. It was a nice claim from our goalkeeper. He would start the counter-attack, but nothing would come from it. Thales Magno would cut in from the wing. We'd have our next chance here, where Vitinha probably should have scored, and then so should have Gonçalves. We had quite a few chances in this game, but you can see our finishing did start to sort of deteriorate at this point. Banza would have a nice shot near post. It's never really going to go in. But then this would happen. The ball would get missed, Ruiz with one of his first shots of the game, one of Aruca's first shots of the game. You can't be drawing at home to Aruca if you want to try and win the Portuguese league, especially when you've got people like Benfica, Porto and Sporting Lisbon, who all seem to not know how to lose. They seem to win every single game except against us. And in fact, it was one of these teams that we were playing next. We were going to be playing a Sporting Lisbon yet again. I feel like we've played them in every single episode so far. We played them in the Cup, we played them in the league, and now we're playing them in the league for a second time. We know all about Sporting Lisbon. They've got Sesko up front with Edwards. That's always going to be the big man, little man partnership. They've got some really tricky wingers on the other side as well with a bit of pace. That's the kind of thing that they're going for though. Sesko hitting the crossbar after 23 minutes. A warning shot really, and we did have to sort of step our game up if we wanted to stay in this game. They have Doumbia in midfield as well, who's quite a nice progressive midfielder. One I'd be interested in bringing to Braga eventually if he does ever want to leave. But they've got an all-round good team. I'd say better than ours in almost every single position, except Musrati there. I'd say he's probably better than anyone in their team in defensive midfield. I'd rather have him. But if I could swap someone like Sesko into our team, man, I would be so happy as a manager. So hopefully he eventually runs out of contract or gets put on the transfer list, something that we can pick him up cheap and very realistically. It was Banza though who we would be replacing him with, and he is going to go through one-on-one. He's going to score, slots it straight under the goalkeeper. This guy's finishing is absolutely amazing. It's his all-round play, his strength, his pace, his finishing, his quality on the ball. I really like Simon Banza. So if you're looking for a big target man striker, look no further than him. It was time for another home match, and this time it was snowing for the first time in Braga in years. We would go through one-on-one, Banza yet again. We talked about how good his finishing is, and then he goes and embarrasses us like that. So after beating Sporting Lisbon, we were trying to expect we were going to do something similar in this match. But giving away cheap penalties like that is always going to make it harder for us to try and get the win. I'm not sure what Ander Herrera is trying to do there, and I'm not sure why he's strong enough to push someone over in that way. But Mateus is definitely strong enough to keep the ball out of our goal. Strong wrists there, palms it out for a corner, which would lead to nothing. I don't think there's a goalkeeper on earth that would have saved that shot had it been on target, but thankfully for us, it only hit the crossbar. With the foul playing up front because of Silas's injury, we were always going to be limited when it comes to counter-attacks, but we still would have one or two like that where Banza probably should have headed that straight into the net. The game was looking like it could be slipping away from us. With Talas Magno through on one-on-one though, he should have definitely put us 1-0 up. It was seeming like every single shot we had would go just wide. Maybe the snow wasn't good enough for our Portuguese players, maybe it was the kits, maybe it was the ball, who knows what was up with our finishes in this game. Every time we would get through one-on-one, we would mess up the chance. Even when our 90 pace striker Silas would get through one-on-one, he would get a shot rebounded and the goalkeeper would just catch it a second time. It's lucky that we did manage to save the penalty, because if we hadn't, then we would have lost 1-0 against a pretty poor Portuguese side. Somehow though 0-0 we get another point, but these kind of results aren't good enough if we want to try and do well in the league. We need to be winning against teams like Pacos Ferreira now instead, which is going to be slightly harder than teams that we've already drawn against in this episode. Ander Herrera would try and even it up for giving away the penalty in the last game, but unfortunately for us, he couldn't quite beat the goalkeeper. We would have a nice one-on-one when Silas would go round the keeper, but Talas Magno couldn't get the shot away, and then the header was just about beaten away by their defenders. They would get a free kick on the edge of the box after we injured their player Thomas, who was, again, another surprisingly good player. What a free kick it was as well. He just turned and hit it straight at the goal. Somehow we managed to keep it out. But finally, we managed to score. It seems like it's been forever since that goal against Sporting Lisbon 2 games ago. But there it is. That's the goals we like to see. We like to see a nice, powerful shot. There's no saving that from any goalkeeper in this division. Andre Horta showed some of his dribbling skills right there. He turned his man and got the shot away, but again, another good save. The AI's goalkeepers were absolutely on fire in this game. It seemed like it would take 10 or so shots to beat them every single time, and we had about 3 just then, with the ball constantly rebounding to one of our players in the box. But that's it, a 1-0 win this time meant that we had finally got a win, but 5 points from those 3 games can only be seen as a bad set of results. Our youth academy, however, was performing a lot better. Pedro Cardoso had improved by 4, and Estavo Murillo had improved by 5, so both managed to get promoted into our first team. It wasn't just the youth academy though that was providing new players. PSG would provide us with one of the most highly rated young strikers in the world on loan. Fabio Silva would return to Portugal for the first time, and he was going to be an important part of our plans going forwards. He provides power, he provides a bit of height and some strength, but what we really needed was another backup centre-back, and thankfully PSG would provide one of those as well. You might not recognise him because I don't think he has a real face, but this is Tyler Harwood-Bellis, one of England's most highly rated young centre-backs that somehow now plays for PSG in this save. We got him in for the rest of the season. This guy's got a really good range of passing. He can run quite a lot. He's decently paced, so he's got some strength as well. He's just an all-around modern ball-playing centre-back. And he wasn't going to play too much in his first couple of games, but he was going to be a big deal going forwards. Benfica in the league, so this was first against second. When Musa was through one-on-one, I was fearing the worst, but thankfully not only did he miss, but he also hit the crossbar and was offside. We had a couple more chances ourselves just before the 20th minute. Herrera could have fizzed one in. It would have been a decent goal, but he didn't quite catch it right. Benfica have scored a lot more goals than us, and it's attacking play like this against some of the worst teams that probably would see a goal. So, first versus second, you would expect a goal within an hour, but both sides had their chances, including this one from Silas, but it would only bounce clear and then be cleared by the centre-back. There would be another chance just after the hour mark. Thales Magno bringing some skills. Nice bit of play from Silas to find Borja out wide, and De Frel couldn't quite get on the end of it. And Herrera won a crunching tackle with 5 minutes left. Fed it to Horta. Silas looked like he was going to do a nice long shot. He played through Mr. Thales Magno. His cross only got intercepted. This was another one of those really infuriating matches where it just seemed like we just needed one lucky chance. One half shot, one rebound goal, some kind of pullback, anything to try and score. We nearly got an own goal right there when we blasted a low cross in and it hit a defender's legs. But that was how the game was going to end. It was 0-0. And we really did need to win this one because we were already starting to drop off a little bit from Benfica in second place. These kind of results are only going to make the season harder as we go on. We're already out of the Champions League, so we can't really focus on anything else other than playing in the league. We won the ball really high though after 10 minutes against this team for the second time in the episode, and for once again we just managed to smash one in with Silas. This guy I think is probably going to be our top scorer now that Banza's out injured yet again, but it's shots like that that really made me think we were going to win this match. 2-0 up after we've had some difficulty scoring, and we've scored 2 in the first 15 minutes. You can see the nice hypermotion replay confirming there was a 0% chance of this ball going in, and it got hit by 113 kilometers an hour. That's unsavable for any goalkeeper at any level, let alone the Portuguese league. They would pull one back and do a trademark AI volley into the corner just after the half an hour mark, but we still weren't really that worried. That was only their real attack that they had in the game. We had started De Frel over Silva, but a shot like that just made us inspired to switch them around. De Frel came off for probably what will be his last ever appearance for our club, as there is some good transfer offers in for him, and it was time for Silva to show exactly what he's got. Let me know in the comments how many games you think it will take for him to score. I was surprised myself just how many games it took, so I'll see if you guys can guess better than I did. We did try and get another goal to secure the game. Silva actually got the ball on the edge of the box. He turned, and really, he should have been scoring his first goal in this match, let alone in a couple of games' time. But that's the final whistle of the last match in this episode. We've got some more admin work to do right now, look at transfers and finish off deadline day. You can see here right now, this is some of the players we bought. We've gone to PSG a couple of times here, Harwood-Bellis, Silva and Herrera. We sold a couple of players, we loaned a couple out, but there's no real big deals that have happened so far this time. Sakira, of course, we did our little role play there where he had a fight with one of our centre-backs. You can see De Frel is headed to the Premier League now. We brought in Kevin McAllister, not the guy from Home Alone, but instead a Argentinian fullback. We got a good price rating on him, look, B. This guy's a 76 rated right back now. He's got good stats. He can do a long throw, something I really like. And we loaned in Eric as well to be a backup left back. I like this transfer as well because he moved to Barcelona from Xavi's old club. So that's a nice realistic one from the AI right there. I do like that suggestion. So we had a couple of offers, including this one from Musrati, and this is where I need your guys' help. In the comments below, let me know, should I accept this deal, 12.5 million plus Juan Bernat, Or should we reject it and just try and build the team about Musrati? We haven't actually done this just yet, so let me know what you think in the next episode. This is the first match you'll see. It's against Vizela again. Hopefully you'll come back and watch that with us. But thank you all for watching today. Cheers and goodbye.